welcome back to HS Tech Chill. Today we're going to be covering CICS, the transaction processing environment for ZOS. I'm going to show you how to program it, how to get a program loaded, how to write the JCL to compile the program, and this is not going to be a tutorial on CICS application development. For that, I strongly recommend that you go read the CICS application development guide. Once you get the hang of it, it's really not that hard. But before we continue again, I would like to make a comment on the audio. I'm recording this video in my actual classroom where last week they came in to paint my walls and they got rid of my stupid foam padding I had on the walls to absorb the sound in here. So it's got a little bit of reverb going on here, but that's fine. I think you should be able to hear me. If you honest to goodness can't tell what I'm saying, please let me know. I will either correct the video, redo the video, I don't know. I mean, to be fair, this is the second time I've redone this. Hopefully this time with less factual errors. But anyway, let's go and get started here. So before we begin, you're going to need access to your ZOS console or some way to run console commands with administrative access. If you're running a real mainframe in like a real company, I don't know how to, I don't know. I don't actually work in mainframes, I'm just doing this for fun, but by golly, you're about to learn something, so just make sure you know how to get to a console, make sure you can run commands. I know you can run console commands from SDSF, so just keep that in mind, that may be an option for you. Make sure you have a TSO console, make sure you have a CICS console. Now to actually bring up a CICS console, it's not all that hard. If you're running like a plain ZOS system, you'll be able to just type lcix on a login screen. I'm not. Well, I am running plain ZOS. As a matter of fact, I'm running this on my own mainframe that I have up in my bedroom at my apartment. Instead though, I'm using an external gateway box here. So instead, I have to do logon application ID A27CICS. This probably is not applicable to you at all. As a matter of fact, I somehow doubt it will even be remotely applicable, but that's one way to get a CICS session is to just manually log on your terminal to its application ID. All right? So first things first, before we do anything, we actually have to stop CICS and we have to go modify its startup job. I know this is going to sound crazy. And before we do that, we need to allocate two data sets. We need to allocate a source data set and we need to allocate a data set for our programs to reside in as load modules, okay? So we're going to go ahead and allocate, what is going on here? Sorry, sometimes my keys freak out here. Okay, now Shift is stuck. Okay, now Alt's stuck. One day I'm going to learn just to use a real PC and stop. Stop. Okay, I think I'm fine. Sorry, I know I sound very goofy. I think this video would turn out fine. Whatever, alright. So we're going to allocate this data set, which obviously doesn't already exist. This needs to be a normal, like PDS source style data set. So 50, 50, 80, looks fine to me. All right, and then you also need to allocate a load library data set that's going to store the programs for you. So come over here and allocate one of those, and of course a load library data set has a record format view, a record length of 0, and then a block size of that. So that will do. Okay, come over here, and now we gotta start editing. Now I'm what you call efficient. I'm not gonna sit here and type in a program and bore you to tears, and so I'm gonna copy and paste everything out of a text file. If you want this text file, email me, and I will just send it to you. You can find my email address on the contact page of this YouTube channel. So just keep that in mind. So I'm gonna slam this right in here. Oh yes, we can use the the normal keys here. So we're gonna call this COB High because this is a COBOL Hello World program. And I'm afraid we have scrolled a bit too much. Uh-oh, scroll up just a little bit. Scroll down. Give me 2 lines here. And all in all, it's really not that much to type in. Alright, so if you've already programmed in COBOL, which I hope you have if you are watching this, this is pretty par for the course stuff here. Now CICS is special though. Keep in mind, CICS is a very 1960s program, and someone said, hey, wait a minute, the CICS supervisor has access to the memory segments of every single program that's running, so why don't we just pass everything by a pointer? Well, in fact, we do. So in this case, we have dedicated variables that our message string and the message length will go in, and then we need to stuff those in when the program starts. And then these exec CICS statements are really the meat and potatoes of CICS programming. This is called command level programming, and it replaced an earlier form of CICS programming called macro level programming, which, as you can probably guess, is assembler macros, okay? So we want to send text to the terminal screen from this here. In other words, it's going to pass a pointer to the CICS runtime nucleus with this variable here, and of course the length, and every exec statement block ends with an end exec. And we don't just return back to the program. There's a graceful return procedure where it's exec, CICS, return, end exec, and then finally if we make it here, stop run, okay? So save that. After you've typed that in, come back here, and then we're going to do a JCL that will compile this for us here. Now this is going to seem very, very crusty, okay? But I'm going to paste this in, and I'm going to show you what we have to do to make this work, okay? This IBM lib right here is going to specify a JCL procedure library that we're going to fetch stuff from. This dataset name is very important, and I'm going to show you how to find this. So is this dsttlib. This is our destination CICS runtime library. Tran.sysyn is the input for the CICS translator. In other words, our source program here. cob.syslib, if you have any additional COBOL copybook include statements, have this here. And then finally, we need to tell the link editor what the name of our program is, and specifically we want it to be reentrant. Now, let's back up. I'm going to save this, okay? I'm going to save, and I'm going to back up, and we need to find some stuff before we do anything else, okay? Because technically, remember, I'm jumping the gun. We still have to actually modify CICS and start it up with our modified start JCL. So let's go ahead and do that. First things first, we're going to go ahead and modify CICS, and we're going to get that load library that we have now allocated. We're going to get that in the mix here, okay? So locate your system-wide proclib, okay? If you're not the administrator of your own ZOS system, in other words, you have like a real-world ZOS system that has like real systems programmers, you need to ask your systems programmer to either allocate you a data set for CICS or to tell you a data set that you can put load modules into, and that is what you'll use instead of wc.source.cics.load, okay? So go ahead and find this CICS-A procedure here, and this is going to be a real toughie. Not really. Come down here and look for one that says DFHRPL, okay? This dataset concatenation, which is somewhere in here, right there. I'm going to scroll right up to that. This right here is the dataset DD name that CICS will open and will sift through in order to find load modules, okay? So first it's going to have its own CICS load library because this index2 thing, if we scroll back up to the top, is going to break into, there you go, CICSTS23.CICS, okay? And the other load libraries underneath it are for something called language environment, which is basically the compiler runtime libraries on ZOS. And then this one right here is for a program called DCF script. Don't worry about that. You probably don't need that. Go ahead and add another one. Just like that. And this is our load library that we made. We're going to save this, exit, come back here to your console, and now we need to stop CICS. Now, sometimes you can type fcix-a, CMTP shut I, but instead, come over here to your CICS console, and if you have administrator rights on the system, like maybe you need to do CESN and sign on to CICS, I have security disabled, so it's a free-for-all for me. But once you do that, you may be able to do CMTP shut I, that will shut down CICS. Okay, I got thrown off back to the logon screen, and you can see that CICS-A is ended. Now from here, clear your screen, and run scix-a to load that job procedure and restart CICS, okay? So it's going to take a while to load because this mainframe's old and slow, and it's actually older and slower than me, which is unsurprising. I mean, it is an old Multiprise 3000. It's pretty quick, but we're running, obviously you can probably tell we're running ZOS under ZVM here at the HS Tech channel, and of course that will incur a bit of a performance penalty. So while this initializes, we're going to come back here, and at this point we're ready to actually run our JCL to compile our program, okay? So go ahead and submit this, okay? And remember, just like we said before, there's those data sets, okay? So this procedure library here, this one right here, SCFH proc, that's you can find that in that start procedure, okay? And again, if you're still confused, just come over here and just look for CICS, all right? And ADFH is not what we want. We want DFH. DFH is a CICS like program procedure, and somewhere in here is the DFH proc dataset, okay? Easy as that. Now to find your COBOL compiler, well, the prefix for that is IGY, so in this case it's IGY 330. Older versions of ZOS may use like IGY 320, OS 39 is like IGY 310. I don't know what it is nowadays. I think it's like 5.3, so the IGY 530. I actually don't know. I don't really run modern ZOS. Does not really interest in me. All right, so that's all that. So while we have already submitted it, we can actually go ahead and look at the console and say, yep, everything looks good there, if you know how to read that. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Instead, we're gonna go ahead and go into SDSF here. We're gonna read the output of this, okay? Scroll down to the bottom, hit S to select it, and we'll just scroll through and take a look at this, but we don't care. Scroll all the way to the bottom. That's the link editor output, okay? And remember, we can actually do the question mark here, and we can get the output from the translation step. So here's the CICS 6.3 command language translator. All right, looks good. No messages produced by a translator. Here's the COBOL compiler. So if we just go to the bottom, you'll see there's no errors. There's an informational warning, which we saw up top. That's fine. The copy the link module, it's just a single copy. And here's the link editing step. So this is the binder, in other words, the upgraded link editor for ZOS. Looks good. All right, so now if we go list stuff in our load dataset here, you'll see here's a module here. And this is a proper XA format module, so A mode of 31, okay? Now, we need to go back over to CICS. All right, clear your screen, and this is where it gets hard. We have to define the program to CICS, we have to define the transaction to CICS, and we have to install the configuration group, and then we have to run it, okay? So CEDA is the transaction name. That's gonna allow us to do what we want. Everything in CICS has a 4-letter transaction, okay? There's CEMT, CEDA, and then of course a whole library of other stuff you can do, like CESN, for those of us who can type. CSGM, that's our good morning screen. CSSF, or I guess CESF. Sign off, well, I wasn't logged in. We're just kind of doing free play here, like this is the mainframe arcade of Doom, right? So let's go ahead and get started here and actually use one of those. So we need to define stuff, and we use CEDA for resource definition, okay? So F3 will get you out of this. Press the clear key to clear, and in my case that's escape. Do CEDA, define program, cob high, group, CICS test. Now I'll do. New group created, okay? Now, push enter. Go over here, turn on insert mode, do transaction test 1. Remember, it's only 4 letters and can't start with C. Do that, define successful. And now, we need to do install this group. Now, our configuration is live. Get out of CEDA, press clear, and run test 1. There you go. That wasn't so bad, was it? Well, it's all downhill from here. Okay, now, I'm not gonna show you how to like seriously write CICS applications. You can figure that one out just by reading the manual. I may do like an actual CICS application development tutorial maybe at some point somewhere, but truth be told, I don't really think that showing you how to type in code is really a very effective way of learning. This is just to show you the mechanics of administrating CICS to get your programs to run. If you want some good CICS examples, email me and I will try to help you as I can. Though if you email me very threateningly, like, my boss is about to fire me in case, or unless I write this, I'm not gonna help you, sorry. You brought that curse upon yourself, I'm sorry. Anyway, all right, let's continue here. So let's make something called a map. So we want to have like a fancy screen, right? Fortunately, we can do that, and you actually have to write assembly language for it. It's not that bad, guys. Calm down. Don't worry. Assembly language is easy when you're doing it just for this. So go ahead and create something called test map source. This is not test maps like plural. This is test map source. All right. And I'm going to show you what I'm copy and pasting it in here. This is some crusty stuff, so I'm not gonna explain this until I get it all pasted in. All right. All right, now, so this is an assembly program. I know what you're thinking. Evie, this don't look like no assembly to me. What are you, being a lion girl? No, not really. Instead, it's actually a special macro wrapped assembly program, okay? So these are just macros galore, so told you it was easy. Start with the title. This is the 8th column, okay? Well, kind of, sorry, it's not. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, 9. That's really weird. Can I turn on the ruler? Well, so much for that. Maybe there is an option to do that. If there is, I surely don't know. Anyway, you need to come over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then start typing, okay? Alright, so start with the title, doesn't matter, it's ignored. Print Nogin, yeah, whatever, it's just a similar directive. This right here is the name of our map package, alright? We're producing this for COBOL. This matters a lot because this tells the map generator what kind of copybook to make for us, okay? And you'll see what that is in a second. All right, display attributes, that's fine. And then this will start the definition of fields. Now, I would love to sit and show you how to do this and just, grind it out by hand, but who in the world wants to do this? There's better ways to make these. For one, there's a program on mainframes you can run called SDF. You might have it, and I think I actually have it. In fact I do, yes. I will give you a brief example of SDF here too, as well, because I think it will be beneficial to you. But the easiest way by far to make CICS map, if you're just like an amateur / hobbyist, you're doing this for fun, go download a program called ANSI2BMS, and it's made by the soldier of Fortran. Use an ASCII art editor like Mobius, as in M-O-E-B-I-O-U-S. Use an editor, is that right? I think that's spelled wrong. No, it's M-O-E-B-I-U-S, there you go. Use an editor like that to whip up your ASCII art fields, run it through ANSI2BMS, set the options in the program appropriately, just read the GitHub README, you'll figure it out, and then transfer that resultant assembly language source to your system here. Now, I'm going to show you how to do this just by hand, and then we're going to come back to SDF, okay? Because I think it would be pretty cool to check out, and the odds of you having it at your shop are, well, they're not zero. Now, sadly, if you're running a ZOS ADCD, you're not going to have it by default. This is something I just happen to have, so dig around. It's on the OS 390 demo package, whatever. All right, let's keep programming because we ain't done yet. So we have this, now we need to make some JCL to actually compile it. All right, so this right here is, well, I think you've made it through the hard part, so it's really not that much more difficult. So plug and chug, there you go. Here's our proclib that we already defined. Run a program called DFH maps. Why did I call this compile step? What was I thinking? How about step 1? The old EV reliable right there. All right, so This is the map name that we're gonna produce. Here's our destination library. That's gonna contain our copybook, okay? And then, sorry if you hear water flowing, someone just flushed a toilet above me and there's plumbing lines above this room. This right here is the input, so test map source. All right, got that? I hope so. Go ahead and submit that. And you'll be able to see that running on the console. Waiting for data sets. If this happens, press F3 to back out, okay? Now, we're gonna have a new member in our data set here, okay? And it's this test map thing, okay? And this is basically like a structure, if you will, in C. Now, if you actually tell a thing to make a C map, which you absolutely can do, you can program CICS in C out. I don't know of anyone who actually does that, but you can if you want. It will generate, depending on what language you specify, an appropriate C structure style definition for you, okay? Now we need to write a program to display the map, all right? So how about cob map? That'll do. Definitely because I didn't already make my mind up beforehand. And this program is just as easy as the last one, all right? So there you go. Copy test map, this right here imports that file that we just typed up. And we need to tell the COBOL compiler where it can find copy files. So of course there's an option in our source where we have that. Our JCL source, mind you, not our COBOL source. And we're gonna send map test map 1 from the map set test map, okay? Save that. And now we need some JCL for it. So it's just like old times, just like we did a few minutes ago here. All right, come down here, paste it in, call it step 1 for consistency. All right, so as always, here is our C compiler, COBOL compiler. This is our language environment. The reason I didn't go on a tirade explaining CEE is because I assure you it is probably CEE. If it's not, I have some beef with your ZOS systems programmer. He can talk to dumb old Evie and I'll be happy to scold this terrible systems programmer you have. Anyway, translator system input, there you go. COBOL compiler system libraries, bam, there you go. Link editor system input, there you go. That's the name of our program, save that. We're gonna submit it. Of course, it's gonna take the longest, so there you go. Well, that was pretty speedy there. And just for good measure, let's just make sure that everything is sitting here ready to go. So here's what we have. We have our first program that we ran. We have the object module for our maps, and then we have our map displayer program, okay? So, same thing as we did before, CEDA, define map set. I mean, you could just say map, test map. Remember, this is the group, all right? Sorry, that sounded strange because I just used the same word and then typed a word that was the same word but it meant something different. This is the map group. In other words, this right here, okay? And then in our group name here is, of course, CICS test, just like we've been doing. All right, and then we need to define a program. All right, and then we need to find a transaction for it. Oops. Alrighty, do that. And install group CICS test. Alright, I think you got that down to a T, and then test 2. Well, I don't know what happened to the second one, but there you go. It's as painful as that.